For me, my life has been a journey. And as I look back on my life, I feel very excited really to record the best I can for the memories that I have. And I have amazed myself as to how much I've really been able to remember. And as I go through the photos, a lot of things come back. Just the way things were at the time, sometimes tears and sometimes happiness. My first home was a Poland dagger, right out in the veld. We were in Chikare at the time, and it was on the Apelite mine. And the actual photo consists of my mother, my father, and Uncle Percy and my sister Eulalia. And that was taken, I would think, in about 1931. Going through my life from those years, I can remember very clearly. My daddy had the Apelite mine and was working with Uncle Percy. And they employed roughly 300 workers, and they had their wives and families. And Uncle Percy very often used to chuckle, He said that they had all their little sort of huts down the side, and he was like head of the hut. And he said come 5 o'clock in the evening, all their little pots would come out to do their daily food and things like that. But he also said that they used to go out, that's my father and Uncle Percy, and shoot the game, to shoot meat and stuff for the workers. They would do the kill, and they actually grew the maize and stuff on the mine, and that's how we fed the workers. I would say that we were in fact one happy family. I can also remember my daddy. He used to play the old banjo. In later times, of course, it was the accordion and things around the old campfire. This photo actually shows the Prospecto community in Hartley. This could have well been our own settlement in those years. And we were all sort of around strumming. He would sing away and we would all sing with him. And one of the songs that he sang was "Ours was a nice house, ours is." It's got no rats or mouses. So, those were happy days. There was no proper built roads of tar that we know today. Early in the 30s, I know the government employed the workers to put the strips down for the roads so that we could travel on. And those strips today are still there, but disintegrating at the moment. To go through to the groceries, I think my father had to drive about 19 miles to be able to go to Katooma, to be able to get the food. When it came to meal times, very often the women would feed us all together, but there were times that my mother did the meals for us as well at home. But during the day it was quite normal for the African women to include us when they fed their children. We loved the kids. There was no we were all playing together. They would all scrap to say, well, they wanted to push me, so of course I always had VIP treatment. I had the best place of all. Make no mistake. They were very sweet. We all scrapped. The actual carts were made out of wooden crates. When the stuff came, it was all crated up, and it was those wooden crates that they made and put the wheels on. And sometimes I'd have 2 or maybe even 3 pushing me, on the roads. But it was all dirt roads, It was all bushveld. No big tall buildings, no electricity, so it was candlelight or lanterns by night. We used to cook very often on an open fire for our meals and that. But the meals were very simple. Now, you don't hear about stamp mealies today. I haven't seen them for many, many years. It's mealie meal that they make today, but in those years it was what they called stamp mealies. So you put the mealies in overnight to soak, and then they boiled them the next day, and that was perhaps the main dish for us, with your whatever they were able to catch, either a bird or some of the beef or whatever they got in wild. Could be rabbit as well. That's the sort of food that we had in those years. There was no such thing for us on the mine for like lamb. In fact, I don't think I saw lamb for many years. Beef, yes. Chicken, perhaps plentiful, because it was cheap and easy. But on the whole, it was, in those very early years for me, it was snap mealies. If I was very hungry, he would, put a slice of bread into a plate and a drop of milk on it. And lettuce was another one. He'd pull the lettuce out of the garden and teach me how to eat it. That's the sort of food he gave me when I was young. But I think a lot of it was that the money was very tight. It was the Depression years that I grew up in. My mother did make a lot of clothes for us, which can be noticed in the photos, because she made for all of us. We all looked the same. The closest whites to us when we were on the Apelite mine was roughly about 60 miles. We're talking of neighbours. Now, what used to happen, yes, they would come and they would visit us, but now when they visited us, it would be automatic, they stayed. It wasn't a question of coming to visit us for the afternoon and going back. That never happened. Our doors were always opened. The old cook boy would have to make extra food for the guests that came, and they'd have VIP treatment. They'd fuss around and make a bed up for him, and even if it was a camp bed. And so it was, in those days, the whole affair was very friendly.